We're actually in the middle of transitioning the hosting sites from one site to another, which hosts the feed basically. And in this transition, we just want everyone to know, I'm sure you've seen it maybe, but we lost a lot of the episodes in the transition process, I guess. They're not completely lost. We just have to re-upload them. But,
so do we lose all our listens?
I don't know.
Our whole 10 listens?
No. We haven't done that. But I just wanted to say something that we're in the middle of fixing that. So if you're new to the podcast, there are at least 28 other episodes that you can probably check us out on, and they'll be available to you soon. We're just in the middle of fixing that.
Right.
That's all I'll say about that. Moving right along. Yeah, stay with us. We're coming up on that. We're sneaking up on that 1 year mark in a couple of weeks here.
That can't be right.
Austin?
Yeah, that's definitely right.
A whole year already, guys?
Yeah.
Time definitely flies.
Yeah. So moving on to the next topic here. One thing that I've seen on Netflix, and I think it's on Hulu also, Austin had put in here the Fyre Festivals, I guess, coming into light, all the documentary, I guess, on it, right?
Right, yeah. Both Hulu and Netflix both have...
their own specials on it.
Yeah, they came out, I think, well, definitely around the same time, if not the same day.
I haven't watched it yet. I watched a little bit of it. Didn't get into it yet. But do you want to summarize what that is real quick, Austin?
Yeah, I only watched the Hulu one. I have not seen the Netflix one, and I probably won't. But it basically goes through the history of, probably should look his name up before, Billy McFarlane, who is the organizer, the main guy of this Fyre Festival. And if you don't remember, it's the festival that kind of popped off and all these celebrities and models were posting about it and getting it trending, and it was going to have all these big acts, and these models were going to be flown out to this island. It's Pablo Escobar's island, actually. And they were going to but they were going to have cabanas, and there's going to be the beach there and drinks and, gourmet food. All this stuff is what they sold it as. Tickets were selling for $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. And then come the time of, you have the people that bought the tickets flying out there, and it's not a private jet that flies them out there. They land and they are bussed over in these old ass school buses to tents that are made for FEMA and rescue. The picture that of course went big was the one that got posted I don't know how many times, where it's a picture of the bread with some cheese on it. And basically McFarlane defrauded everyone of this money, and people were stuck there, and it turned into Hunger Games, Lord of the Flies type stuff, where people were hoarding stuff, people were stealing stuff. But that's pretty much the whole thing about the Fyre Festival. Oh, and Ja Rule.
I did see that when I was watching it. Again, the very beginning, Ja Rule was a partner in that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange. I heard the Netflix one goes into more about Ja Rule. The Hulu one didn't as much. But basically, McFarlane got his money just by conning people along the way. From his very first con, each con became bigger, and he was able to get actual people to back him up. Most of these people were not good people. They also had their issues, but each one backed them with higher and higher amounts. And when he wanted to do this Fyre Festival, Ja Rule basically signed on and kind of lent his name to it. And you can see in the interviews leading up to the festival, Ja Rule kind of always defers the questions to McFarlane. But then after the festival, they showed us on Netflix, Ja Rule did a podcast, and I don't know what it is or what channel it's on, but basically the podcast is you just get drunk and they ask you questions. And in it, he talks about how he was one of the partners and stuff.
He confesses it or something?
Yeah. But it's a whole thing because you see these people like trying to put on this Fyre Festival that's not going to happen. Like this was going to be the Coachella, the next big thing, and it just was not going to happen. There's no way to physically build this festival in 6 months. Like they said, this type of festival to build at this island would take minimum 2 years, and they were trying to do it in 6 months. People on the island that helped out, well, I don't want to say helped out, but like were hired to build stuff, like the locals there, they're all like destitute now. They sank all their life savings into working and building and doing all this stuff, and they never got paid. No one ever got paid. So like that island is just bankrupt. Those people are like living off nothing now. Along with obviously the people that actually paid for the tickets to fly out there, and they lost everything too. Or not everything, but they lost their money.
So like, what happened? I guess spoiler alert from this point forward. I'll probably watch it, but like I'm sure it's been out there too in the news. What happened? Like did they go? I'm sure they went to prison.
He is in prison. The reason I like the Hulu one is because they actually interviewed McFarlane, and they interviewed him before he went to prison. And so he has gone to prison. I think it's like 6 years. So nothing crazy. I mean, yeah, he has to pay back people, but I'm sure the money he makes in prison, being there, will go to some of it, and then I just think whenever he gets out, he'll pay them back by defrauding other people and continue the same thing until he's put in prison again.
Did Ja Rule go to prison?
No. Well, I mean, he did, but that was something else.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like he did go.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this was related to that.
So was this supposed to be his comeback, or
who?
Ja Rule? Like, was he supposed to perform, or he's just a partner?
I don't know. I don't know if he was ever on the billing. Yeah, I don't know if he was ever on the billing. Like, they got like big names to play at this.
When you say got, you mean said. They didn't actually get anyone.
Well, that's the thing. So McFarlane, like, he pranked everybody, even the musical acts. Like, he did contact Blink 182 and like was in talks to have him there. He did contact these other artists. He did contact these models. But then this guy, I don't remember his name, but he's the one that started the Twitter handle Fyre Fraud, right? And he would just tweet all the insane shit that were lies that he heard from this festival. And so slowly he like starts tweeting this stuff, and then word finally gets back to the musicians, the models, like the talent, like, hey, have y'all actually gotten paid for anything? And on their end, they're like, we haven't. It's a couple weeks away. He said he was, but something's going wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like all these excuses. And finally, it all kind of came out. And I guess all the musicians, their agents kind of saw the writing on the wall. Were like, we're not getting paid for this. We're pulling out.
And it started just imploding from there.
Yeah, but unfortunately for the people that bought the tickets and were already on the plane, I mean, they were already there. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Interesting. So it was a big con.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It didn't start out to be a con. It was supposed to be what it was supposed to be. It just turned.
I think it was always going to be a con.
Oh, really? He was always. He never had the intention of doing anything.
He didn't have the resources.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I have an intent to throw a big party tomorrow. Like, that doesn't mean I can do it. Like, he and everyone else should have known, and we're told you can't build this kind of festival in 6 months. So he knew. And when you watch the special on Hulu, when they ask him stuff like that, when it's interesting to see, because when it's something that he can't lie about or try to wiggle out of, he just has nothing to say. He just like sits there. I'm sure he wanted to throw the badass festival, but it's the same thing with all his other business ventures that were basically like defrauding people. I'm sure he wanted to have like the next. He had this other business venture called the Magnesis card. It's not important, but anyway, same thing. I'm sure like he wanted that Magnesis card to be like the next big thing, but he knows it's not going to be. But it was interesting, like, to hear how, like, quotes from his mom about, like, he was the smartest kid in his class, like, in I forgot what grade, like preschool or like young. He had his first business by like selling crayons or something like that. Where like, oh, you want the blue crayon? I have the blue crayon, type of stuff.
Get that mindset already.
Yeah. So
Scary.
Just to know that he was gonna. People are suckers is probably what he saw.
right. I mean, I think that's what it all is.
I saw. I mean, I guess this is all happening at the right time because the Hulu thing came out, the Netflix thing came out, and then I saw that some models are like now getting involved too, like fined or sued or something.
They're getting called into court to basically, I don't know if it's to testify or just to kind of put a better timeline and not timeline is not the right word, but better, I guess, context to who knew what, when did they know what, what was going on.
Who else?
Because I guess if they knew, I guess if they knew at the time that it wasn't going to be anything, they probably are like an accomplice, right? To an extent, like helping promote something that's not going to.
But I don't see how they would. I don't see how they would know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like the musicians. Like you would promote it in good faith, thinking, "Oh wow, this guy has the island. He has backers. Ja Rule is attached. I mean, whatever that means. But just like in good faith, you would be like, "Oh, this is good." I mean, maybe these musicians and models shouldn't do that until I guess a contract is signed and there's some money on the table. I don't know. I don't mean that's however like business is done with agents and stuff. I don't know, but it's hard for them to know. Like they wouldn't have known like, oh, he hasn't been planning it for 2 years. He just started planning it last month. They wouldn't have known that. I don't think they would.
Yeah, I get it. I honestly, I mean, I don't even watch the news right now, which is pretty bad. I'm not connected with anything, but I didn't hear about this until this documentary came out. So,
you don't remember when all this was happening?
No.
Oh wow!
I saw that it was in 2017, so that really recently.
Yeah, I mean that picture of the toast, which we'll put the picture up on the YouTube video. That was like that picture is what symbolized the whole Fyre Festival.
I do remember the picture, but I guess I didn't look into it.
But the whole thought of it, like from the state's perspective, everyone that was over here was just like, oh, rich millennials getting what they deserve, Why would you spend $50,000 to go to a private island? Like that's stupid. Why would you think that's a real thing? You're an idiot for believing that.
How much money did they spend?
The lowest ticket prices were $50,000.
No way.
I believe.
Who could afford that?
Because I think they started it off either at $2,500 or $25,000. I know those are big separations, but remember this went up to like $250,000 for a ticket, and so they started those ticket prices for general admission, thinking that this is a lot of money. No one's gonna really buy this. Again, it's a scam. Like we're just trying to make money to pay off this, to pay off that, and those general admission tickets were flying out of their hands. And it was, I don't know who, but someone told McFarlane like, hey, you need to up this because this is too crazy. So then they started doing platinum tier and this tier will get you a whole house, not just a cabana. And so like those were like $250,000 ticket price.
Jesus.
And you were promised, again, you're gonna fly out here in a private jet. You're gonna have your own cabana, own house, gourmet food. The chefs are gonna be all high class. Models are gonna be walking around. You're gonna have all these musical acts. You're gonna be able to party with the musical acts. All this stuff. This is Pablo Escobar's beach, like all this stuff. And so people who paid and were over there and then were now, because this was all, again, they were tweeting it, they were Instagram, they were videoing it. You have like one girl on the bus driving over there, and when she sees like the FEMA tents, she just starts crying.
Oh.
And people commenting like, "Oh, look at this rich stuck up bitch!" Like, what did she think was gonna happen? Or,
yeah, there was no sympathy, I guess, from like average folk like us.
Right, because we could never afford. But then you hear the stories on their end when they're like, "We took out some of these millennials. All my savings went into this. I took out loans to go to this thing. Blah 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
But same thing from that, like, oh, you shouldn't have. People were saying, you shouldn't be dumb like that and cash in your life savings or take out loans for $50,000 to go to a festival.
Yeah, the first of its kind. Yeah.
Right.
Do Coachella tickets cost that much? I've never really looked into it.
I don't. Again, I haven't either, but I doubt they cost $250,000. Yeah. But that's the thing too, right? Like it didn't start off like that, but as the festival builds, like it's it sustains itself now, and they can afford to sell high ticket prices. But the whole documentary was very interesting. They I like it again because they talk to him. His girlfriend is still standing by him. Just interesting person.
Yeah, I mean, I'll finish watching it. It caught my attention. I had to step away from it, but I'll get on board with you soon, and we can talk about it more if we need to.